Turn our attention to security now. The kidnap of students in Kaduna and the internally displaced persons in Borno State bring to question again the security situation in the country. As President Tinubu condemns the heinous incidents of abduction involving very vulnerable victims, he's directed security and intelligence agencies to immediately rescue the victims and ensure that justice is served against the perpetrators of these abominable acts. He sympathized with the families of the victims, assuring them that they will soon be reunited with their loved ones. I'm joined now by former Director, Department of State Services, Dennis Amakri, for more on this development. Thank you for joining us on the program. We've seen 3 mass kidnappings in 1 week, reportedly 287 in Kaduna, about 200 in Borno, and 15 children in Sokoto. Do you think that the cycle of mass abductions, is back as we used to know them?
All right. Yes, thank you. I think we've come in full circle right now. A very, very rounded circle whereby we lost about 270-something students in Chibok to Boko Haram, and now we are losing about 287 or so again, and this time we have children, smaller ones that are part of it. So we've come in full circle. And why is this full circle? Apparently it's because we've not been able to address it properly. As a country, I think we've been playing kids' glove with these terrorists because we've allowed them a lot of leeways. And I think it's high time that the government bear down on them.
The situation in Kaduna is quite interesting. Bandits stormed the Leah Primary School, Kuruga, around 8:30 a.m. on Thursday. That happened shortly after the assembly gathering. And that was when they abducted the pupils and some staff members of the school. We're back asking how close to 300 students were abducted in broad daylight. With many years of fighting this kind of crime, what would you say precisely we're still missing?
Well, we are missing a lot of intelligence. And I think after serious interrogation, we should be able to get more. We should be able to get more about how they were moved. More than 250 students, carried away, just headed into the bush without anybody knowing. I know that that Kuriga is a remote area, and then of course the school does not have much security features, but for this kind of thing to happen, and of course for lack of response, because it took them time to gather all these people, move them out all the way into the bush, and then before the security agencies were informed. So I think we have some lapses that are going on right now.
But the last time we reported an abduction of this magnitude, we were told they were carried away on motorbikes. And you can imagine the scene of, ferrying hundreds of victims on bikes. It tells that perhaps there are no adequate security infrastructure. But when you consider the latest mass abductions in 3 states. We've seen 2 states in the northwest, 1 in the northeast. Is it possible to draw a link among the latest 3 attacks?
What we are seeing right now is, should I say, they are creating a kidnapping belt, which extends from Sokoto to Maiduguri, in the Sahel area of the country. So I would not be surprised because the modus operandi is the same like the one in Chibok, which was carried out by Boko Haram. And then, of course, this one, bandits, and bandits that we are calling terrorists that we are calling bandits, So there is a lot that meets the eye, to this particular situation.
We now just call them bandits. Are they significantly different from Boko Haram and the other terrorist groups that we know?
Well, when Boko Haram started, it was an insurgency because they were an insurgent group. They were fighting on a religious ideology, that Western religion or Western education is forbidden. And that's Boko Haram. And then, of course, it continued, and many people stuck to it. We even have some religious leaders who start to identify with them. Even some politicians identified with them. And then, of course, these bandits, whom we later changed to terrorists, because when they came into Nigeria and the government wanted to deal with them, they ordered for Tucano jets, but the Americans were very specific that Tucano jets are not meant to be used for civilian population, because the bandits are seen as civilians. It is terrorists that are known as, militarized, people that they can attack. So we went to court. In fact, it was in court, it was the court that changed the name from bandits to terrorists. Now, these terrorists have been there, but I don't know, we have been, the Kaduna State Governor has suggested we should go and carpet bomb them, which of course we cannot do because that's the wrong thing to do. There will be a lot of collateral damage, but it is something that we have to really sit back and then look at the enemy one more time. Who are these people? Where do they come from? The French-speaking Fulanese, where are they from? And then, of course, address it properly. Because if we just send soldiers down there, it is not giving us results as we know it right
Indeed.
now.
So there are talks already about the Kaduna State government reaching out to the bandits through a private negotiator for the release of the pupils and their teachers. We can't confirm that yet, but it's a story we're familiar with. As a former DSS official yourself, how does this work? Negotiation.
I don't support ransom payments. I don't support ransom payments. Of course, the Kaduna State government have come out to deny.
But you just mentioned that we can't carpet bomb them. Is it practical?
We can't carpet bomb them.
Not to negotiate with them.
We can't negotiate with them. We cannot negotiate with. We can see there are. Okay, let me be very clear on this. We can negotiate, but we are not going to pay ransom. Okay, all governments, including the United States government, do negotiate, especially through third parties, but ransom payment is counted out of it. And we made the fundamental mistake when we started paying ransom, in Nigeria, and they collect the money, they go and buy new arms and ammunition, and then come back to fight even our military. So I think that ransom payment is something that I don't believe in. But if you have professional negotiators, they can actually negotiate out the people because exchange is not basically on money.
All right. So, just 3 weeks ago, we talked about Leah Sharibu, who has not returned after 6 years. And that's the biggest fear of many Nigerians when you count numbers of this magnitude. You follow up with the story. Some are released and some don't get out after many years. We're hoping that this administration will be able to tackle this differently. And we're looking forward to a sustainable change. Denny Samakri is a former director with the Department of State Services who joins us live from New York. Good to see you, Mr. Makri.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get back to our